I'm Doogie.
And I'm Darren. And look how we just did the turned tables. We're looking at the real sequels, the series of events that happened after episode 6 in the novels, comics, and mostly books. So far we're looking at the Thrawn trilogy, starting with Heir to the Empire, and today we're looking at Chapter 9.
Yes, Chapter 9 opens with Thrawn, Pellaeon, and C'Baoth on the bridge of the Star Destroyer Chimera, and basically they're getting ready to launch an attack. So Thrawn and Pellaeon are like checking over the ship systems for the Chimera and their task force, and then counting down to the jump to light speed. C'Baoth is in contact with 2 other task forces, which are like light years away, and they're gonna do this 3-pronged, like simultaneous attack using C'Baoth to like control the 3 task forces at the same time, like through the Force. So we kind of follow Pellaeon, his inner monologue of thinking like,
do I look like a potato? He's staring at himself in the window on the bridge, being like, do I look like a potato? And he's like looking back at Thrawn, being like, should I ask him if I look like a potato? Nah, it'll be fine.
Well, it's no wonder we think Pellaeon's like one of the best characters. You know, we love potatoes. Here in Northern Ireland.
Potatoes.
Boil them, mash them, stick them in a stew. Yes. We're kind of like following Pellaeon's like inner monologue, and he's thinking about how this jump to light speed is a very short distance, and it's not typically done in a Star Destroyer. It's seen as very like dangerous and unorthodox because...
Nah. Light speed skipping is extremely easy. They can do it loads. Like essentially, if you had, let's say, a giant truck, you could just... There you go. 5 different planets. All good.
I mean, like, I wasn't going to talk about episode 9, but as soon as you bring it up.
No, let's not. Let's keep this a short video, like below 40 minutes.
Yeah, that... This was not during the dark times, Darren. This was before the dark times. Before the sequel trilogy.
If anyone wants a couple rant videos on 8 and 9, just leave a wee comment.
Yeah. If you haven't already had your fill of all those, sure, we can add to the pile.
Yes, but we need someone to ask first.
Yeah.
I need permission.
Let's be honest, it's barely contained at the minute. We don't really need permission. But yes, anyway, so Pellaeon is, well, in his mind, he's saying, like, when Thrawn first brought up the idea, like, 6 months ago, they got into, like, an argument over it, because Pellaeon was like, this isn't how it's done, you know, this isn't safe. There's a risk of, like, losing contact with your task force as you're jumping and stuff over such a short distance and it going really wrong. But they've been like practicing for months now, and Pellaeon, he's like, it's amazing how it feels kind of like routine almost now, whereas, you know, such a short time ago he really didn't like the idea of using these kind of tactics. But it's just like, that's Thrawn, and this happens like throughout this like scene, but Thrawn is always showing like his way unorthodox methods of doing things and way like tricks and strategies that aren't the norm.
And that's definitely a testament to what Pellaeon becomes. This is setting him up, building his arc to the badass he's gonna be, going from that old steel imperial basic thought to, hang on, maybe we can think outside the box. You know, it's like allowing that free thought. It's interesting as well, like how that kind of develops where the Empire goes as well, like further on down the line and into the real depths of how far the Legends material goes.
Yeah. So yes, they check the systems on the Chimera, and they check in with C'Baoth and say, you know, are you in contact with them? And C'Baoth is like, yes, they're ready for my command. And so Thrawn says, well, command them then. And then nods to Pellaeon, and they start the countdown to light speed, and they sync up to the other ships in their task force, and then they go to light speed, and then like a few seconds later they come out of light speed and they're at Bpfassh, which here we go again.
Spell it.
Bpfassh.
Here we go again.
What the hell is that name? It's the name of the planet. But what is that even? How do you even come up with something like that?
Bpfassh.
What does that mean? Why did you say that name?
So they go to Bpfassh.
Yeah, they go to Bpfassh. So this planet of Bpfassh, it has like a moon. It's a twin planet, so it's like two planets. I assume that means it's like two planets rotating around each other. Does it show in the comic?
It does not.
It does not.
It does. Actually, it looks like this, which is probably not what's described in the book. It essentially looks like a planet with 3 moons.
Yeah, but it deliberately calls Bpfassh like a twin planet. It says like there's a moon. So I'd assumed by twin planet it was like a binary system where there was 2 planets kind of like rotating each other in very close proximity. But anyway, they're attacking this like twin planet Bpfassh. And yeah, things are going well. Like that orbital defense platform that they have gets blown up by one of the Star Destroyers. There's some like defensive fighter base on the moon that they send TIE fighters and another Star Destroyer to deal with. And they're like doing a wee bit of an orbital bombardment on the planet Bpfassh itself, taking out like factories and stuff. And while this is going on, Thrawn asks C'Baoth like how the other 2 task forces are going on, and C'Baoth says they're doing well, but his voice is really strained, and Thrawn and Pellaeon look at C'Baoth, and his eyes are closed, and he's like unnaturally stiff.
Fine. You want to see it? Yeah. Feast your eyes.
Sorry. Immature.
Truly wonderful the mind of a child is.
You and your dick comments.
It's fun to say them.
It's fun to hear them.
That's why I say them.
And that's why I listen.
But yes, C'Baoth is unnaturally stiff, and he's like gripping the chair quite tightly, and his eyes are closed, and he's clearly like really concentrating on what he's doing. But he says yes, the other 2 task forces are proceeding nicely, and Thrawn then tells him to command one of the Star Destroyers to return to the rendezvous point, and Pellaeon is sort of half says like, what, why are you doing that? But Thrawn cuts him off with a look. Then again, lightning quick Pellaeon catches up and realizes what Thrawn's doing.
I should not have done that. I should not have done that.
And yeah, so Pellaeon catches up and realizes that this attack, this like 3-pronged attack in the Sluice Van sector, it's partly to like prepare for their attack on the Sluice Van shipyards, but it's also a test of C'Baoth, both his abilities in like what he can handle and what he can do, but also how willing C'Baoth is to taking commands from Thrawn. And Pellaeon eventually realizes this is why Thrawn's given him kind of odd orders of like telling a Star Destroyer to retreat
with breakneck speed as usual.
Yes. Pellaeon, the reliable spud. And yeah, so Pellaeon turns back to the battle, and then he starts to feel like we're doing almost too well, because like they've only lost a couple of TIE fighters compared to the defenders of Bpfassh, who've lost like a few cruisers. I think it's like 18 fighters or something by that point. So Pellaeon, he starts looking at the terminal and brings up the analysis for the task force, and he compares it to previous data from the past few months, and he sees that the task force are performing 40% better in every area than they usually do. And so Pellaeon kind of glances back to C'Baoth and sees him in very intense concentration, and it says, Pellaeon realizes, well, he tried to deny what happened at Endor and Thrawn's theory about the Emperor, but you can't argue with this kind of proof, because C'Baoth is commanding 2 other task forces light years away, and he's still able to influence the task force that he's with in Bpfassh and make them 40% better in every regard. It's obviously true what Thrawn had said before, even though Pellaeon doesn't like to think that that is the case. So Thrawn looks at his watch and says, right, time to go, we've caused enough chaos. So he gives the order to retreat. He tells C'Baoth, tell the other 2 task forces to retreat as well and return to the rendezvous point. And again, Pellaeon's like, this kind of hit and fade tactics are so unconventional and so against what the traditional strategy for a Star Destroyer is, because it's meant to be basically like a siege station. It's meant to come in to a planetary system and just like be a base, like a big solid base, and it's meant to like wage siege warfare almost. It's not meant to be like a quick hit and run or hit and fade as they call it. But again, it's just that's what Thrawn does, you know, he uses unconventional things, like I was saying. So they're leaving, and as they're leaving, like the scene ends with C'Baoth saying to Thrawn, "Where are my Jedi? Grand Admiral Thrawn, you promised me my Jedi." And Thrawn saying, "Yes, yes, we will get them soon." And C'Baoth is like, "I'm tired of waiting." And Thrawn says, "We all are." That's how the scene ends. So it then switches to Mara Jade and Talon Card, and they're sitting aboard the Wild Card, and they're in orbit above
He named his shit the Wild Card.
Yeah?
Class.
Did I not
That's
say...
so good.
Did we not talk about this
'cause
before?
It wasn't in a ship.
Oh,
the last episode.
yes.
Last episode, he was just salt baying it
Oh, yeah.
on planet. It was at Talon Card's house.
So yeah,
The Wild Card.
I
That's
know.
great.
Yeah.
That's what I'd do.
I know. Yeah. And Talon Card gets a bit of a reputation for, like, naming his ships in...
Like puns.
Yeah, like naming a ship with, like, puns and stuff. So because he does it in other books that Timothy Zahn writes with Talon
spoilers.
Card. Yeah.
Spoilers for a 20-year-old book.
Yeah. Sorry about that. Sorry. But yeah, so they're sitting in the Wild Card, Mara Jade, Talon Card, and like another guy, another one of their organization. And they're in orbit above a planet, and they're watching the Star Destroyers as they're leaving, and they're seeing them go to like light speed and stuff. And so they're talking about these like unconventional tactics of like, you know, why are they leaving so soon? You know, and it must be because Grand Admiral Thrawn is in charge, you know, it's his kind of unconventional strategy that it must be having an influence on Imperial tactics. And Mara Jade's talking about, yeah, even during the Empire's heyday, Thrawn was known for, you know, being very complicated. He would never do the simple thing. He would always do something more complicated and more extravagant. And then Mara Jade's like, "So are we heading down to the planet now to give our delivery?" And Talon's like, "No, let's like get out of here." And Mara Jade's like, the Imperials are leaving, so why are we not gonna deliver? And Card says, well, the New Republic are gonna be here soon. They're gonna be swarming over the system, so we don't want to be around with a ship full of contraband while the New Republic is here. So we'll go back and we'll contact the people and say we'll try and deliver it next week instead. And Mara Jade doesn't want to go. She's like, we made a promise, you know, we'd promised them that we'd deliver it. And Talon Card has to like bring her around and say, like, this is just like standard procedure, like they'll understand. They would rather get it late than not get it at all. So Mara Jade eventually agrees, and they go to leave. Their short wee scene ends with like Mara Jade's her thoughts of like, I wonder if Luke Skywalker will be sent along with the New Republic task force to like clean up this mess in the system. And she's kind of like, yeah, I'll find him soon, very soon.
Ooh.
When we leave it there.
Well, that's a story for another video.
Stop quoting episode 7. We don't
an excellent story for another time.
Yeah, we do not speak of the sequels anymore. We rant too much. I don't think we've actually ranted really about them.
We've done some nice snide comments.
Yeah. They don't deserve
a rant, unless you want one. Leave us a comment.
Oh yes, I forgot, we're slaves to the people now.
I'm not a slave. I'm a person, and my name is Anakin.
Now that's a quote I can get behind. Me so like this.
Now do the thing.
But yeah, we changed scene again to Luke and Leia back on Coruscant, and you know the probe that Ben trained Luke with in episode 4 on
the wee
Minute.
ball.
Yeah, the wee ball that floats about and shoots a wee laser at you. So Leia has a lightsaber that she's just made, and she's like training with that remote. It's called like a remote, but it's the same wee like floating ball thing that shoots at you. And she's training with it, and she's basically the same as Luke. Like, she's not really very good, and Luke's trying to like encourage her to like stretch out to the Force and let it control her actions and let it guide her. And she's saying, I'm trying, but I can't. And while they're training, Han comes in, and they stop, like they pause the remote and stuff and start talking, and they can tell that Han isn't looking happy, so they ask what's going on, and Han tells them about the attack in the Sluice Van sector, that 3 separate planets were attacked by the Imperials. Mon Mothma wants Leia to go to the planets, to the Bpfassh system, and calm them down basically and say, we're going to help them clean up and we're going to protect them and all this kind of stuff. And because this is still relatively recent after the attack at Bpfassh, Luke says, well, I think I should come along as well, just in case. And Leia says he can't, that Luke can't come along because the Bpfassh don't like Jedi. And it turns out that basically during the Clone Wars, there were some Jedi in the Sluis Van sector that went rogue and caused a lot of chaos during the Clone Wars, and so the Bpfassh don't trust Jedi, they don't like Jedi because of that. And Leia mentions that these dark Jedi made it out as far as Dagobah, and that kind of like perks Luke's ears up, but he kind of plays it cool. And so Han and Leia leave, and Luke is like left alone with his thoughts. And
So you say play it cool. In the comic, he literally goes, Dagobah? When was this? And then throws his chin about 14 meters in front of his face. He has the most awful poker face ever.
What? That is... Why is the comic so different? Like, why is it changing that scene so
I
much?
suppose it's just to give it a bit more oomph.
Jinx. Yeah. So Luke plays it a lot more cool in the novel than in the comic, apparently. But yeah, so when Han and Leia leave, Luke's sitting thinking to himself, you would have never mentioned there was a dark Jedi on Dagobah. So I wonder what's going on there. And he's like thinking about all this stuff, and again he's feeling like he's not teaching Leia well enough. He's feeling the weight of that responsibility because he feels like Leia's going to be relying on the training that Luke is giving her to defend herself. So if he doesn't do a good job, she could end up hurt or worse.
He's
so
probably thinking of just retiring and going living by himself, and of course, titty milk. Cue scene.
Yes, exactly. He's worried about how he's going to do a bad job teaching her. So he's just going to abandon her.
Yeah.
And yeah, that's clearly the most logical course of action, is to just abandon her and
Sounds like something Luke would do.
Yeah, totally. But unfortunately, this book has a good grasp of character. So Luke's like thinking about this and he's feeling like the weight of this responsibility. So what he does is he switches on the remote and he has like a wee training session, because it's like, this is something physical I can do. It's not some ethereal like fear and responsibility. It's like, this is something I can like tangibly fight, and he's doing like a training session, and he's training for like 20 minutes, but it feels like it goes by in seconds for him, and before he realizes it, he's worked up a sweat and he's out of breath and stuff. And during the wee scene, it just displays like how advanced he is with his combat training. Like he's, it was a lovely contrast between, because the bit with Leia was deliberately intended to like remind us, or to remind the reader of Luke in episode 4 and how he was like stumbling about, not able to block any of the blaster bolts. And now in this scene in the book, we get Luke as like master Jedi and just able to like easily swat away all these bolts for like 20 minutes straight and not get hit once. And yeah, just like how far he's come in his own training. But that's the problem, he's got to this level himself, but he doesn't know how to teach Leia in the same way. He doesn't know how to pass on that knowledge, and that's where he's really struggling. It's not his own understanding, it's being able to share that knowledge with others is what he's really struggling with, and what he's like constantly feeling fear about. Like, how do I teach them this? Like, how do I explain this thing? It's not like anything else in the entire world. That's what he's really struggling with. And so as he's thinking about all this, he's like, maybe there might be something on Dagobah. Because obviously Leia bringing it up has put Dagobah in his mind, so the chapter ends with him calling up the hangar bay and saying like, get my X-Wing ready to leave in the next hour. And so that's basically where the chapter ends, with Leia and Han going off to Bpfassh, or to the Bpfassh system, and Luke's going to be heading to Dagobah.
Well, everyone thinks he's going to head to Dagobah, but actually where he's going is, because he's obviously feeling doubt and stuff here, smash cut. Green titty milk. It's the best plot line. I don't know why no other film series has decided to do that.
What ruined their franchise?
Yeah.
It was unexpected. I'll give you that much. It definitely subverted my expectations.
Well, that's about all we have for this week. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe, and leave us a wee comment if you really want to.
Yeah.
No, but please do it. It really helps out.
Mm-hmm.
And we'll reply. You'll reply.
Oh, thanks. So,
Bye.
but no, what?